Okay, fellas, so computer gear. What computer gear software? I build my own computers. I've been building my own computers since I was in graduate school. I started because I really wanted a powerful computer back in those days, mostly for gaming back then. Pretty much everybody in school who really wanted a really fast, powerful computer just built their own. You think you've seen me blow up motors? I've blown up computers too, man. The first ones is especially overclocking them. I don't do all that anymore. You can build your own computers. They're simple. I realize that most people who are getting online now have never owned a computer. They just bought a cell phone and it's the first time they've ever gotten on the internet. And so they don't even know what a computer, they've never used it. Your cell phone is a piece of consumer technology. It is not a production tool. It's not a tool of production. It's a tool for consumption. When you go to the movies, you really think that movie was shot and compiled and rendered on a cell phone? Okay, no, it was done with supercomputers and stuff. My recommendation is just go ahead and build one. You build one exactly for what you want. For me, it's just about every 4 or 5 years, I'll get a new processor, new motherboard, new memory depending on the sockets and things, and probably a new video card. As far as the monitors and hard drives and keyboards, mice, speakers, disk drives, and all that stuff just remains the same. So I'm only upgrading the components I need. Now, if you don't want to go through that trouble, just get you a laptop somewhere. For video editing, get a quad core processor at the least. Quad core processor, I'd recommend 4 gigahertz. You got to have at least 4 gigahertz because you'll be sitting here all day rendering video, especially with all of this HD quality stuff. What I use is a AMD was it 8350 or 8330 processors, 4 gigahertz, as 8 core processor with running at 4 gigahertz each. Now most of the time the processor is only running about 2 gigahertz or so, just everyday stuff, and I only need, but once you start editing video, bam, all 8 cores are running at 4 gigahertz and it's just all out, and that thing just has power. Another thing, what operating system do I use? I use Linux. I use a Linux distribution called Linux Mint. If you use Windows, you have 3 or 4 choices. You have Windows, you have Mac, OS 10, and then you have Linux, and then you have something like a BSD, Unix. Windows you're gonna pay, Apple you're gonna pay. Linux, it's open source, so you pay if you want to. And I like to take some of the profits from Black Warrior Lures and donate to the Linux Mint fund, usually about once a year. I used to love Mac back in the day, then they went to OS 10 and that was Unix, and I really saw how stable Unix was for the first time. And I thought, oh gosh, is there a way to build my own computer? And at that time, Linux was just really, really not very good. And so I went to the dark side, Windows, and used Windows because that was the only game in town for building your own computers, and so that's what I used for a while there. Just a few years back, when Windows 8 came out, I liked Windows XP, I liked Windows 7. Windows 8 came out. It was like the most schizophrenic software operating system of all time. It doesn't know if it wants to be a desktop computer or a tablet or a phone. It's like, I don't get it. I said, I'm done. And then there was that whole thing about Microsoft sponsoring some crazy organizations. I don't really want to get into all that, but that said, I'm done with Microsoft. And so I just looked for a distribution in Linux, found Linux Mint, found several distributions that are really geared towards desktop systems. And I went there, man, and I haven't looked back. I don't run Windows, I don't run Mac, I just run Linux, and it works. All my videos you've seen since about 2015 have been just on Linux. And you don't even know that it was compiled and rendered on Linux and anything. It just doesn't, because it doesn't matter. Because quite frankly, Linux and Unix have taken over the world, right? If you're running an Android phone, you're running Linux. If you're running an iOS phone, you're running Unix. You don't even know it. It's just seamless. You don't even know it. But if you look at the file system, it's a Unix-like operating system. What software do I use to actually edit the video? It's a program called Flowblade. It's free. It's a guy who just has taken several. The thing about Unix is you can manipulate the software code as you please, but you just have to give it out for free to everybody else to use. And that's what this guy did. He took a couple or three very popular video editing software programs within Linux, put them together, the best of all of them, and now you have this one really awesome video editing software. It's been more reliable than any other ones that I've seen. The guy doesn't even ask for money. He just updates it about twice a year. You just download the updates. It works. My computer has 2 monitors. I have one monitor. I can have one monitor over here for editing the video. I can have another monitor over here for just doing sort of file things, and then the operating system has multiple desktops, so it's almost like having 10 monitors. So you got 2 monitors, and I have 5 separate desktops, and so it could do a lot of things. And you know, as a musician in a former life, these long waveforms, you need a lot of monitor real estate. You know, a little cell phone is like a joke. That's the production environment for me. I don't even have a case for my computer. You've seen it, you know, Franken-puter is what I call it, because it looks like a Frankenstein invention or something. My friends, that's what I use. I use Linux, I build my own computers, and I run Flowblade to edit my videos. Simple.